Thank you for your active participation in yesterday's sessions. Let us start today's session. Rutik, please.
Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, Rutik. You can start.
A very good morning to all. Welcome to the second day of Faculty Development Program on Deep Learning for Image and Video Applications. Hope that all of you enjoyed yesterday's session. Today, we have some hands-on experience in Python programming on session 1. Fortunately, an experienced programmer in any programming language can pick up Python very quickly. It is also easy for beginners to use and learn. So please use your desktop or laptop for the hands on this session. For today's session, we have Mr. Jayadev J, System Engineer at Tata Consultancy Service, Kochi. His areas of interest are artificial intelligence and machine learning. He is an expert in programming languages like C++, Java, and open source language Python. He is been into the industry for 2 years and now working in cloud infrastructure monitoring. Let us welcome Mr. Jayadev for handling the session. Sir, please.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. I'll just share my screen. Okay, so can you confirm whether my screen is visible?
Yes, it is visible now.
Okay. So, hi, I am Jayadev J. I work at TCS. Currently, I'm in cloud infrastructure services. So what I do is make sure that the client application runs without any problem in the hardware side. So today we are going to do a hands-on session on Python. I know that this is a wide audience. So for first day, we will look at the basics. And on second day, we can look at somewhat more complex problems. I was asked to give only a basic workshop. So most things will be basic. And for those who are just starting, I hope that this will be a foundation to your further endeavors. And I hope that you will be able to understand and look at Python code and know where to start when you see one. For any experienced candidates, I hope that this will act as a refresher's course. So what I will be covering is basic stuff and the basic knowledge or the logic which needs to be followed. So these small stuff, when combined, creates a big program. So do let me know if my speed is okay for you. If you could respond in the chat, it would be great. And so how I plan on doing this is, if you have a laptop, you can do the hands-on along with me by joining the meeting on a phone, preferably. If you don't have a laptop, then it's fine. You can just open it in the phone and take notes. Or if you only have a laptop, then also it's okay. I'll show you how to do both. So the platform which I prefer for doing a hands-on session is Collab. So you can all take a new tab and type Collab. So like if you don't have a phone, then you can pull out this meeting tab and take it to the side and drag it. So this way you'll get a split screen. You can see what I'm doing in this tab, and you can do your hands-on in this space over here. So there are different code editors in which you can run Python. Like for example, there is PyCharm, but all of those require you to install something on your laptop. So I didn't want to give you the trouble of doing that. So Collab is a collaboratory provided by Google. It is very easy to do programming in here. So if you search Collab, then you will get this page. Right here, you can see a button for new notebook. If you click that, my network seems to be a bit choppy. Okay, you will get this notebook, which is similar to a Jupyter Note, which is also an IDE for programming. If you could give me confirmation that you're also now in Collab, it would be great. Okay, don't call me sir, call me Jayadev. Okay, I will give a basic introduction to Collab, and assuming that you all are in Google Meet, you all have a Gmail account, so you will be signed into your account, and whatever you do will be saved here. So the next time you go in Collab, you can see the previous works. So I'll just give an introduction to Collab. This is what is called as a cell. You can write your code here. This are for inserting a code cell or a text cell as required. And in the file option, there are options to rename and save it in the drive or directly export it into our GitHub account. And also we can download a file. In edit, there are basic functions to act on that cells. Similarly for all. And in runtime, there is a change runtime type. If you click that, you can see an option called hardware accelerator. It contains GPU and TPU. So GPU is graphical processing unit and TPU is tensor processing unit. So these are advanced hardware which will speed up any of our program. Like if you're into machine learning or deep learning, you can train your model very fast here. And these are just very high-end hardware provided by Google free of cost for us. So now I'll go into Python. So Python is a general purpose programming language. It is a high-level object-oriented language. It is easy to learn. If you know some other programming language, then this will be very easy. It will be like only say 1/50th of the work that you took in learning that you'd need to apply here. So it is very easy to read. It is like basic English. You write code like how you speak. That is the beauty of Python. And it is the language with the strongest support of developers. And there are also many free libraries which you could use. Like some of the frameworks are TensorFlow, which is very widely used in the area of artificial intelligence. Also like OpenCV and everything. So it is a language widely used by industry, universities, and for people for hobbies, etc. So we will first look at how to handle numbers. Like we put 2 + 2 and run it. While running for the first time, it might take a bit time because it needs to connect to an instance. You can see that here. It is saying connecting. Now we get 4. Now imagine doing this in Java or C++ or any other language. You'd have to go through a lot, like hashing include iostream.h, that, and if in Java system.out.println. So in Python, it is very simple. Now all the arithmetic rules apply here, like multiplication to do 2 * 2. And for also for running the cell, you press Shift and then Enter. Shift and Enter runs the cell. if you have any doubts, kindly put it in the chat. I will see that eventually. And do ping me, or you can unmute yourself and ask if you have any problem. So we have a lot to cover, and there isn't much time. I'll just gaze through all the things. So we have multiplication by plus and subtraction by a hyphen. Then we have, sorry, I said addition by plus, multiplication by subtraction, and addition by plus, subtraction by a hyphen, multiplication by a star, and we have a division by the forward slash. So while putting forward slash, also remember that this will result in a float value. So what I mean is, if we put 2 by 4, we will get a 0.5. That 0.5 is a decimal number, and this is called as a float. And modulus is given by a percentage sign. What it means is it will return the remainder of numbers. And for exponential, you put double star. I will give in time in between so that you can try out. So one more thing, for day one, we will cover a basic intro, which is completed. Now we'll look into variables and types. And if possible, we will also complete loops and controls. So the variables in Python are alphanumeric characters. That means it can be alphabets and numerals, like numbers from 0 to 9. And also there are special characters like underscore, which can act as a variable name. So by convention, variable name will start with a lowercase letter, and we have something called as a class. Perhaps you've heard of it. And class names by convention start with a capital letter. So there are a lot of keywords which can't be given as variables, like if, for, while. Those are part of a conditional loops. So those are built in, and you can't use that as variables. That's the only thing. Like, for example, let us create a variable x and we'll assign an integer 1 to it. So we can see that we don't need to define that x is an integer or x will contain this value like in some other languages. If we put type of x, then it will indicate what type of value the variable x contains. So in this case, it is 1, which is an integer. So even if we type my underscore variable equal to 23, then we put type of my underscore variable, we will get an integer because this variable name contains an integer value. So Python is dynamically typed. That is what this is called. We don't need to specify if a variable type when we create one. So integers are like this. A floating point is a number with a decimal part. You can see that for x I have given 1, and here I have given 1.0 or even 3. So when I assign a new variable, a new value to this variable, it will automatically change it. So there's no problem in doing that here. So this is a float. And Boolean we will declare by p1 equal to true, and type of b1 will say that it's a Boolean. Now we can also define complex numbers here. That is done by the letter j, x equal to 1.0 minus 1.0 j. Now if we put type of x, we'll get complex. So if we just want to print the imaginary or the real part, we can just put print x dot real. So that will filter out the real part from here and show that. Similarly, for getting the imaginary part, we just, instead of real, put mac. So there we can see the imaginary part along with the sign. So those are the things. Now, to print a statement, you can just put it in a quotation. Double is often the first program that one writes. So you can just do that, or you can put it under print. And then within quotation. Okay, so the difference here is that this will print as with the quotations, and here it will just print the text that we want. Now, to check certain conditions, this might seem trivial to you now and seem very basic, but in larger programs, when we need to achieve simple things, these are the logics to be used. To take a note, maybe, or if you're doing hands-on with me, then it will be saved. I will try to give this notebook to you after a bit of curating and adding certain text so that you can refer it later. So if I put x equal to 2, and I need to check whether this is some integer or float or something, then I will just type x is float. So this will return false because x is not a float, it is an integer. So now we will see what is called as a typecasting, which means converting one type of data into another. Like, for example, if we put x equal to 1.5 and we print it, so x is 1.5 and the type of x is float. That is what is shown here. Now we can convert it into another data type, like for example, integer, by putting x equal to int of x. So what it will do is convert x into an integer. So we can verify it. So we can see that it has been converted into integer. The 1.5 part is eliminated to the nearest integer, which is 1. Also, a thing to note is that we can't convert a complex number into float. It will just give an error. So there are certain conditional operators, logical operators such as AND, OR, which are operated basically for Boolean, like I put true and false. So it will be like our OR AND gate. If we put that, will give us a false. And also, if we do a not for that, it will give us true. Those are the and also we have comparison operators, which are 2 greater than 1. It will give us true because 2 is indeed greater than 1. So also we can check for equality signs. Okay, we can't put equal because equal is an assignment operator. To check that, we need to put double equal to. And it says true because that is indeed equal to this. LHS is equal to RHS. So now we will see into what is called as compound data types, which are strings, list, and dictionaries. So strings are variable types that are used for storing text messages. So for example, S, which will contain hello world, is a string. So to print S, you will either put just S and then run the cell. That will give out this, or we will do print S. We will run it and it will give us what is the string contained in S without the quotations. So there are certain operations or functions that can be done with the string, and to find out the length of a string, we just put length of S, len of S, and it will just give us how much characters it has. It says 11, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It is also counting the space here. Do note that it also counts space in between. Now there is another function called as replace, which is to replace a substring in a string with something else. Like for example, we will name it S2. It will be equal to S dot replace, which means we are replacing from S. That is what's meant by S dot replace. Parenthesis, we will give world. So we are replacing world with, to put a comma and then S. So what it does is replace the world from hello world, and instead of that put test there. So that's what replace does. Also, we can index a character in a string using the square brackets. Like for example, in S, you can see the 0th character by putting S square bracket 0. So it will give us H. So for MATLAB users, indexing will start with 1. In Python, it starts with 0. So keep a note of that. It is 0, like for hello world, this H is 0, E is 1, and similarly it goes. Now, to print a particular thing, like from character 0 to character 5, we will do that in a similar way by putting the variable name, then square brackets from 0 colon 5, and we'll run it. So it will give the first 5 digits, first 5 characters. And how this works is starting from this to 5. 5 will not be included. Also note that. Okay, I hope everyone can follow me. Is there something that I need to change in the way of taking this class? If you can let me know in the chat, it would be great. Okay, don't call me sir, call me Jayadev. Thank you for responding. Now, there's also this option. What will do is it will begin from the 6th character, that is the 5th one there, and it will print up to the last thing. And also there is this thing in which we don't give the start and stop indexes. So this will print the full thing there. And also there is an option for skipping certain characters within here. So how we do that is putting S, the variable name, and then put colon. Then if we put 2, what happens is it will skip all the second characters. So what's happening here is we have taken the full thing, which will be given by the first column, left and right part. And then this thing, what 2 is called as the interval. So it is giving H, then it is missing L, and like that it is going. Like the intermediate thing, the one in the middle is missing here. So like if we give 1, which means there is no gap, it will print the whole thing. If we give 2, then it will skip a step. And if we put 3, it will skip 2 steps. Now I have said how to assign data to variables. There's also this option of assigning multiple data to the variables in a single line, like with x comma y equal to 2 comma 3. What you do is you put the value of 2 to the first variable, which is x, and then you put the second value, which is 3, to the second variable, which is y. So we can do this within one line itself. And there are also this concatenation operation, which is of strings, which is done by plus. I presume that you will know that. I will skip to the next data type, which is list. So lists are very similar to string. The only difference is that the element within a list can be of any type. So the syntax for creating a list in Python is square brackets. So now we'll create a list called L by L equal to within square brackets 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we will print L and also we'll print the type of L. Okay. So this is L, and we see that L is a type with list. L is a list. So this is how we define list. Now, similarly, the indexing here, if you want to pull out, okay, I said that data types can be anything. So what I mean is you can put an integer, a float, and also a string here. So we'll readily accept that, like we're not getting an error. That's a good sign. If you put type of L, then it will say list. So here we have 3 data types: integer, float, and then string. So also indexing works with by starting at 0. If you put L within square brackets 0, it will reference to the 0th element within this list, which is 1 in our case. We can put all sorts of data types within the list. It could be complex numbers, float, int, anything. So there's also this concept of nested list, which is a list within a list, like 1, comma, and then you put another list, and within that you put 3, 4. So except that nest lists could contain anything, and lists could contain another list also. It is showing list. So if we want to, there's another function called as range. Range of how this works is we define a starting value, an ending value, and a step. So what this will do is, if we can even assign variables here, like for example, start equal to 1, stop equal to 6, and then step equal to 1. And if we go and put that here, step, it will reference these variables, the value it contains, and it will take that thing. So for example, let us create a list with this range. We do that by list, and then within parentheses we put range of let's say minus 10 to 10. So it will give us this list. So also note that we put minus 10 to 10. This minus 10 will be included here, and the last 10 will be omitted. This is because it starts with indexing 0. That's why. We won't ever get something which ends. So if we want 10, then we better put here 11. And I said how to translate one data type into other. So let us try converting a string into a list. So we do that by first defining a string, which is hello. Let that be hello world. I'll print out the type for you. Type of S. Here S is a string, and now we translate it